Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Midcap Radar. I'm Smira Abdi, and with me is my colleague Prashant Nair. For now, the market, well, on the headline index for now, the Nifty and the Sensex, it's just about marginal gains. But we've come off a little bit, actually, and we're sitting close to, the lows of the day. And this move will be more apparent in the mid-cap index. So look at that, about 0.5% gone. And while we're not quite at the lows, I mean, we've just seen a tad bit of a bounce, but it looks like perhaps this dip could aggravate in the last 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, finding it difficult to kind of sort of hold on to the gains, as you pointed out. So let's see, 11,674, very little incremental news flow to go on. There was that bit about the RBI, but nothing definitive there as well. So, I mean, the broad stories, the broad strokes remain the same. Bond yields are lower. Results are coming through. Nothing's been, outstanding or very disappointing yet. Although I think bulk of the numbers will now start flowing through. And of course, the global picture, which remains kind of supportive. So, I mean, actually, it's not a bad environment for stocks per se, even though sentiment remains very, very poor. Let's go straight across to Ashwini Gujral to run us through. He's going to run us through what he would like to do and whether he'd like to buy or sell. I mean, starting with the index, let's get his views. Ashwini, thanks very much. First, the Nifty, your thoughts. What are you seeing?
See, there is clear resistance at higher levels, but whether the downtrend is resuming again, that probably we'll find out once, this 11,640, 645 is broken on the downside. But it's clear that the market is facing resistance, particularly on the mid-cap side. So for the moment, I would tend to go short on the Nifty, maybe with a 20-25 point type of stop. And once, we break the next 15-20 points, the market could accelerate on the downside. So still pretty iffy, and we'll have to see which way we go from here. So individual stocks, Tata Elxsi is a sell with a stop of 754, target of 730. RBL Bank is a sell with a stop of 574, target of 550. And Ujjivan is a buy with a stop of 290, target of 306.
Ashwini, thank you very much for running us through those trades. I just want to highlight very quickly what's happening with Indigo. I mean, it's actually, for the second time today, it's making a move. It was up, the high today was 1464. It's not quite there, about 4-5 rupees off. But from after getting there, it had actually slipped into the red. It's now starting to make a fresh comeback. It's at 1462. Yeah, I mean, I'm basically back at the day's high. I mean, and that's a fresh move, so as to speak, that we are seeing. Yes Bank is down 4 1/4. I mean, it's just about holding that 100 rupee odd level. Let's see if it breaks. Okay, 99.9 on cash. I'm looking at the futures price. And names like RBL, etc. After seeing a bit of a pop, RBL actually got to about 597. It's back down in the red by about 1 1/4%. But the move is on the higher side, is coming in on Indigo, which is up about 20 rupees or so. Okay, we'll take a quick break here. We come back with specific stock and other action in just a bit.
Union Bank of India presents Top Nifty Gainers.
When the finance minister speaks, India tunes in to CNBC-TV18.
It's time that all of us also thought of our duty to the country.
Over 98% of viewers tuned in to CNBC-TV18 for the FM's interview. CNBC-TV18, the pioneers in budget coverage.
Sometimes work calls unexpectedly. easy ride, nothing seems tough. We're early.
Another ride?
MRF Nilo Grip Easy Ride. Make every ride an easy ride.
Public issue of secured NCDs with interest rates up to 9.7% per annum. Shriram Transport Finance. Vishwas Jeet Ka.
Okay, welcome back. Well, we've got the market, which is up 10 points or so. I mean, the move, which we've been kind of sort of pointing out too, has come in Indigo amongst larger names, which I think has moved up a bit more, just a bit more. Okay, well, let's focus on a company now. Abhyuday Jindal is Managing Director at Jindal Stainless, and he's joining us to essentially run us through what they're seeing in the market and what their F520 this year outlook is looking like. Mr. Jindal, thank you for joining us. I mean, if I can begin by asking you to, since I think you're coming on board after a while, just run us through what the business environment is looking like. How are things set up? Just sort of take us through the different segments. I mean, also on the export front, how are things? Just an overall picture. Then we can pick up from there.
So definitely the market is growing at 10 to 12%, the stainless steel market. As a company also, we are positioned to grow at 10 to 12% in sales revenue this year. The issue that we are facing is with imports right now. There is dumping happening continuously from China, from FTA countries like Korea, Japan, and imports over the last 1 or 2 years from Indonesia has increased substantially. So this is the effect, this is the negative effect that's happening on the stainless steel industry. Other than that, all segments, if you see the architectural building construction segment, the automotive railway segment, the utensil segment, all are growing at a very healthy pace, and the company is positioned to grow with this economy as well.
Okay. So, what is the sales volumes that you'd be targeting in FY20, given the kind of slowdown that we've seen in demand in the domestic market, which is, I think, the bulk of your mix?
No, we are not seeing any slowdown at all. Actually, we are going to be selling almost to the tune of 1.5 to 1.6 million tons this year, and out of that, export is going to be 20%.
Okay. So, I mean, just to come back to the first point, which is you said that the big issue is the huge dumping of stainless steel you're facing. Are there any measures were there any measures which were enacted to prevent this kind of thing from happening, or no? I mean, some of the protection which was given to the steel industry was not for stainless steel.
There are investigations. Correct. So last year there was nothing that happened for stainless steel, but this year investigations have started. Stainless steel is being included with the steel industry in terms of safeguard duty. There is investigation happening on anti-dumping on pipe and tubes, and anti-dumping on stainless steel flat products as well. So we are hopeful that within the next few 6 to 7 months, some duties would increase on stainless steel.
Okay, so what is this doing to prices locally? I mean, this dumping?
Because of dumping, margins are definitely under pressure. There is a huge pressure on our margins because all raw materials are imported, and because of dumping and they are selling at much lower margins than us, we have to also reduce our prices. So margins are under pressure definitely.
Okay, and how much of do you expect this to play out in terms of pressure on your operational metrics in this quarter? I mean, do you expect the situation to ease, or through FY20 you expect pressure on margins?
So in terms of, we still see until some safeguard measures or some duties come, we still see a pressure on the margins. But because we are present in all segments, we are not focused on any one particular segment. Our profits, our margins, our volumes are continuous.
Nickel prices, as our team was pointing out, have surged quite high. I mean, they're, I think, up about 31% in 2019. How is this impacting sort of your production? Have you been able to pass this on to end consumers?
Yes, we can pass on our raw material prices to end consumers, but it's generally with a time lag of 1.5 months. So stable raw material prices is the best for us because it doesn't create any fluctuations, but we can pass on our raw material prices to the consumer.
You've also entered the e-rickshaw market, right, Mr. Jindal? Can you just talk to us about that?
We haven't directly entered. We are not manufacturing e-rickshaws, but we saw this as a huge potential for the country, and we are working with a lot of e-rickshaw manufacturers to make e-rickshaws in stainless steel. Already we have got orders to the tune of 200 to 300 e-rickshaws, and this we see as a very huge potential for the country and for the company. But directly we are not getting into e-rickshaw manufacturing ourselves.
No, so you're procuring and then you're going to sell. I mean, you're not manufacturing yourself.
No, we are actually supplying. We are supplying material to e-rickshaw manufacturers to make e-rickshaws, and we're supporting them with the technology, with the fabrication, welding of e-rickshaws. But directly, we are not going to be producing.
Okay, all right. Appreciate you joining in, Mr. Jindal. Thank you for joining us and running us through what you're making of things as they stand right now. The listed name is JSL Stainless. It's up 0.5%, 31 or so is where the stock is at. The markets, I think, improved just a tad bit. 16, 17 points higher is where the index finds itself at 11,678. Okay, Nielsen recently released their FMCG survey for the April to June quarter. That's the first quarter, and they found that growth in the sector has actually fallen to around 10%. They also mentioned that rural has contributed 57% to the slowdown that we actually have been seeing. My colleague Rituparna Bhuyan caught up with Sunil Khaini of Nielsen South Asia and began by asking whether the current downtrend is likely to come to an end anytime soon. Listen in.
From Q3 2018, we are seeing some bit of softness and slowdown which is happening, and this quarter we are seeing a 10%, still a double digit, a 10% kind of a growth in FMCG. And for the full year, yes, a tad lower, which is between 8 to 9% is what we are predicting, FMCG to grow. There are a lot of factors at play if you see it. Be it our GDP, which is slowing down a bit. You see inflationary pressures which are coming in. Monsoons, we have to wait and watch how it not only how it lands, but even the distribution of monsoon becomes very critical. We have seen a lot of positive, announcements which government has done in budget. So we have to see how the implementation of it is happening, and combination of all, it is very critical to see how it pans out in coming quarters to see, when the upturn will happen in FMCG. Having said that, you would also see that in second half of 2018, we had a high growth of 15 and 16% in FMCG. Right. So that base effect will also be at play in H2 2019, right, which is going to be there.
Also, we are seeing a very stark, dip in growth in the rural areas, and 9.7% lower compared to what it was in the Q3 of 2018. Yeah. Now, can you give us some reasons for that? Because from what we see, it seems primarily because of the monsoon deficit that we saw in the April to June quarter, that perhaps the slowdown in FMCG spend, FMCG sector happened in the rural areas.
So you're absolutely right. One of the primary reason is that, but if you see a more rural slowdown is driven by north, which is also highest contributor, so to say, north zone. Now, if I move back just 4 months back, you had a winter rains also which happened, which actually impacted our rabi crops also. So a lot of our rural population disposable incomes are at a very, very threat kind of a position. And inflationary pressures are not helping. So if you look at average prices of FMCG, they are also firming up, which means, the product which they were buying earlier at an X rate is also going up from a price point perspective.
All right, that's about all the time we have on Mid Cap Radar. We'll wrap up here, but your stocks comes up next. Stay tuned.